Hello and welcome to Smitty's. I am a wood cutting fanatic who loves to run a chainsaw. I run alcohol chainsaws, ported chainsaws, I race chainsaws, and I even run the occasional vintage. Now remember, I cannot do this without you. You're everything to the channel, so please remember, subscribe, give that thumbs up, leave that comment. Today, we are going to have a lot of fun. So how you doing? Hey, kind of a cool video for you today. So we're going to kind of look at the lathe. I might give you a tip or two, some troubles I'm having with my lathe, and might be able to take that and use it as a learning experience if you're looking to pick up a lathe. Alrighty, so basically I picked up a very cheap lathe, but I'm having trouble with it. So maybe whenever you're shopping around, you can kind of take my pointers and keep it, in the back of your head for stuff that you want to look for. And on top of that, I got a few saws here I need to start up and make sure they're still good to go. Alrighty. One thing to note about is I got a box going out to TW. Let's just say I'm sending him something he could potentially turn into a race saw if he chose to. And he is sending me something that I could potentially turn into a race saw if I chose to. So you should see something quite interesting coming here. But here's the lathe. You can see I've been whittling on some wood. I need a mandrel. And I can't make my lathes out of aluminum and stuff at this moment because this lathe is just too far out of whack. For starters, the angle of the tool post is off. I have to put a drill bit in here and kind of shim it in order to get a good enough angle that it will cut. So something for you to think about. Another thing I have trouble with is there's nothing to zero it straight out this way. So I literally have to sit here and very gently move it and adjust it, because what I run into is how deep I cut on this side versus how deep I cut on this side is different. I have it pretty close right now, but close for me is still way off. It's still like 30 thousandths between here and here. So what I have to do when I'm cutting is I have to kind of cut a little deeper as I go this way. And then I'll fine tune with sandpaper. That's why I'm using a piece of wood, is because I got to do stuff like that to make sure it's just right. And it's all because of this setup here. It doesn't have anything to center it to zero position. I have to do it by hand and measure and measure and measure. There's like 2 hours just into getting it to this point because I keep kicking it either too far one way or too far the other way. So even though it works, it's a pain in the butt. You know what I mean? Now, as far as cutting bases and stuff like that, it's not such a big deal. But for doing mandrels, when I got to cut from left to right, that's where the issue really lies the most. Another issue is it's still a little small for the large cylinders. So like I got this 385 I'm going to do. I have to make sure I position this part way down here as close to the chuck as I can so that this part will clear the cylinder. Otherwise, the cylinder will hit this. It's little things like that I got to be careful with. And the distance I have to run this guy out in order to cut the 385, it gets a little wonky, gets a little wiggly, a little loose. So, she's still a little small. She does do the job, but it is a little small. I wish it was just a little bit bigger. Now, as far as cutting bases and stuff, it does a good job, great job on smaller cylinders. It's the larger ones. So, like the 385, this one's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Which will make it nice whenever I get this lathe up and running. I just haven't had time to work on it. There ain't a lot of work left to do to it. I just haven't had time, you know what I mean? So, probably just a day. I just need a day to work on it and get some steel, and I can probably get it up and running. So we're getting closer. All right, so now I'm going to start a couple of saws. Just some, tweaks on a couple of saws. I just want to start them up and make sure everything's good. So first up is the Johnson Red 670. I ordered some compression releases, so hopefully now this saw is a bit easier to start. So what do you say we give her a try? And what do you know it? Compression release made it a lot easier. Now, if you haven't noticed, I put a 272 plastic on the saw. The piece of plastic I needed for like the original Johnson Red plastic is $50 on eBay, and I didn't want to spend the money, so I put 272 plastic on it. I can dye it black later if I want, but hey, at least the plastic's fixed. Now I got a compression release and much easier to start. But the starter still doesn't like to catch, so I got to be careful when I'm yanking on it. The starter paws just, they like to skip and out again, so I just got to be careful with that. Let's grab the next one. All right, so next up is my brother's 371. I just want to fire it up. I haven't really ran it since I built it, so I'm basically running it and working on breaking it in for him. So today I just want to give it a start and make sure it starts easy, cold, if you know what I mean. See how she starts cold, So let's see what she does. Alrighty, so she seems a little lean on the low speed circuit for a cold start like today. I mean, look at my breath, you know what I mean? She's chilly, but if you leave it sit there and idle for a second, she cleans up. Some saws do that, some don't. I could try fattening it up a little bit on the low speed and see if that clears that up. So we might look at that in the future. Otherwise, everything seems to be in order. So, what do you say we get to the next saw? All right, so up next is my Husqvarna 50 that I put the Partner 5000 top end. I was having issues with the choke automatically turning on while I was running it. And here I discovered that I must have stole the little ball bearing out of the choke rod has like a little ball bearing that hits it and holds it in place, and the ball bearing was gone. So I fixed all that and rigged up a choke. It is a 372 carburetor, so now it's a different system now. Basically just using a piece of copper wire for a choke. But let's fire it up and make sure everything is in order. Alrighty. I got borrow on my phone. Oi, that was smart. That ain't better. Yeah, might have got the camera, but the rest of the phone is splattered. That was a smart idea, right? But yeah, there we go. I got some saws tweaked. We got more tweaks to do, but you know, we'll see how she goes. Now, as you've noticed on my builds, I haven't been really doing anything to the upper transfers. There's a reason behind that. We'll get into that in the future, but I did get my new 90 here, so I'll be able to do all my uppers now. But there's a reason I'm not making big adjustments, and we'll get into that in the future. So basically what I'm doing is I'm focusing on building some race saws here, getting them up and running, and I don't want to play with the uppers just yet because I need to see where in the RPM range peak power is hitting. And the uppers, a big function of the upper is to steer where peak power is going to be in the RPM range. So I need to see how the saw is performing before I really make my adjustments, you know what I mean? So I use the uppers not just for timing, but to steer the charge to, you know, to kind of control where in the RPM range I'm going to hit peak power. And I kind of need to see how the saw is going to run before I do that. I need to know if it's hitting too low in the RPM range or too high or whatever. So like the Partner 5000, without doing any upper transfer work and finger ports, she's performing great. She's hitting 13,000 in the cut. But now the John Thread 670, it's not really a race saw, but I can tell that the transfers could use an adjustment because the peak power is hitting a little lower. It's hitting, so the transfers are probably hitting closer to like the 11,000, 12,000 RPM range. So I know they could be steered a little bit to help, you know, push the peak power up in the RPM range a bit. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, is I'm just kind of waiting to see how things progress with the saw so that I can make a better judgment of where I want to take the transfers. Do I need more duration? Do I need to steer the RPM or the transfers in a little more one direction or the other? Like if a saw is, oh, it's a power up top and nothing on the bottom, then you can kind of pull the transfers back and, you know, help focus the power a little lower in the RPM range, or you can go the other way. There's different things you can do. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, is I'm just getting a feel for it before I make those adjustments. I'm building these saws, and down the road, I can work at tweaking them. You know, right now the focus is just get them built. So the next one here on my bench is the 390. It's all tore down. We got another one coming. That's, you know, the saw with TW there, the little swap we're doing. That's a saw there that I'm hoping to build for a race saw. And, you know, we got some stuff coming. Also got the home light we're going to throw in the mix here. It's not going to be a race saw, but, you know, we're going to throw it in a mix, build another home light, and, you know, we'll see how things progress. Alrighty, so, hey, I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.